Have you ever stood in front of an open door? A door you knew you had to walk through, but your feet felt like they were bolted to the floor. The air on the other side smells like freedom, like relief, like the start of something new and healthy. Everyone you trust has told you to walk through it. Your own logical mind, in its quietest moments, screams at you to just take the step. And yet, you stay. You turn around, close the door, and walk back into the room that is slowly, quietly draining the life out of you. This is one of the most painful paradoxes of the human heart. Knowing you should leave someone, but being utterly, mysteriously incapable of doing it. It's a paralysis that logic can't break and that willpower seems to shatter against. The question isn't just, why is this so hard? The real question is, what invisible chains are holding me here? Because these chains are very real, and they are forged from deep psychological patterns that we often can't see. Once you learn to recognize them, you can begin to understand the lock. Let's start with one of the most common and perhaps most deceptive profiles, the fixer. This is the person whose entire sense of self-worth is wrapped up in being needed. They aren't staying in the relationship despite the problems. They are staying because of the problems. Their internal monologue sounds incredibly noble. He'd be lost without me, they tell themselves, or she's going through so much right now, I can't abandon her. On the surface, it looks like unconditional love, like profound loyalty. But if you look closer, you see something else. The fixer is drawn to chaos, to brokenness, not because they are a saint, but because their partner's wounds give them a purpose. Their identity is that of a rescuer, a healer, the calm in someone else's storm. And in a strange way, the storm is comforting. It's a constant drama that distracts them from their own emptiness, their own unaddressed needs. The connection they feel isn't one of genuine partnership, but of a doctor to a patient who never gets better. They mistake constant crisis for passion, and being someone's everything as a sign of deep connection. The uncomfortable truth is that if their partner suddenly got healthy, became independent, and no longer needed saving, the fixer would feel useless. They would feel a terrifying void. Their entire role in the dynamic would evaporate, and with it, their sense of value. So they stay, watering a plant they know will never truly bloom, because the act of watering is all they know how to do. It's how they define themselves. But there's another type of person chained to that door, and their reason is subtly different. This is the identity seeker. For this person, the relationship isn't just a part of their life, it is their life. The fear of leaving isn't about loneliness, it's about annihilation. It's the terrifying prospect of not knowing who you are when you're not one half of a we. This often happens in long-term relationships that started young. Think of two saplings planted too close together. Over years, their roots intertwine, their branches merge, until you can no longer tell where one tree ends and the other begins. To separate them now would feel like ripping them both in half. The identity seeker has outsourced their personality, their hobbies, their social circle, and even their daily routines to the relationship. Their friends are our friends. Their favorite restaurant is our place. Their stories all start with we. When they try to imagine a life on their own, they see a blank page, an empty apartment, a deafening silence where a shared history used to be. The question that haunts them isn't, who will I love? It's, who will I be? This fear is existential. They've spent so long performing the role of partner that they've forgotten how to just be a person. Leaving the relationship feels less like a breakup and more like a death of the self. They would rather endure quiet misery in a familiar identity than face the terrifying, disorienting freedom of having to build a new one from scratch. They stay, not out of love for the other person, but out of a desperate fear of their own emptiness. And then we have a third person, held in place by a very different but equally powerful force. Meet the guilt bearer. This individual is held captive by an overwhelming sense of responsibility for their partner's happiness. They see themselves not as a partner, but as a guardian, a custodian of another person's emotional well-being. Their decision to stay isn't based on their own needs or happiness, but on a calculation of how much pain their departure would cause. They carry the weight of their partner's potential devastation on their shoulders, and it is a crushing burden. Their mind is filled with catastrophic scenarios. Leaving would destroy her, or he would never recover, and it would be all my fault. They feel like they are the sole pillar holding up their partner's world, and to walk away would be to knowingly cause a collapse. This pattern is rooted in a profound, often misplaced sense of empathy and a deep-seated fear of being seen as the bad guy. They would rather be a silent martyr than a perceived villain. The dynamic often becomes a form of emotional hostage situation, where the guilt bearer is both the hostage and the guard. They are held captive by their own conscience. They might tell themselves they are being kind, compassionate, or loyal. But deep down, this isn't about kindness. It's about control. Not control over their partner, but control over their own self-image. They cannot bear the thought of seeing themselves as a person who inflicts pain, even if that pain is a necessary step towards someone's and their own eventual healing. Causing short-term hurt to enable long-term health is a price they are unwilling to pay, and so they stay, sacrificing their own chance at peace on the altar of someone else's comfort, trapped by a sense of duty that has long since curdled into a prison. The fixer, the identity seeker, the guilt bearer. 3 different reasons, 1 shared reality. A hand on a doorknob, unable to turn. These patterns, the fixer, the identity seeker, the guilt bearer, they don't just appear out of nowhere in our adult relationships. They are ghosts. They are the echoes of brilliant survival strategies we learned when we were young. Strategies that were once absolutely essential for our emotional safety. Think about the fixer. This person wasn't born with a compulsive need to save broken people. More often than not, they were the child who had to become an emotional caretaker for a parent. They learned to walk on eggshells, to feel the atmospheric shift in a room the moment an unstable parent walked in. They knew the sound of the car in the driveway could mean either a peaceful evening or a night of chaos, and their whole body would tense in anticipation. This child learned very early on that their value, and sometimes their physical and emotional safety, depended on their ability to manage an adult's whirlwind of emotions. They became an expert at soothing frayed nerves, at being the good kid who never added to the burden. Love, in their young mind, became deeply intertwined with crisis management. Connection was felt most strongly not during times of peace, which felt unnervingly empty, but during moments of turmoil when they were needed most. As an adult, a calm, stable, and healthy relationship feels boring. It feels unfamiliar and untrustworthy. Their nervous system is wired to seek the storm, because the storm is where they know how to perform, where they can prove their worth and feel essential. And what about the identity seeker? Their story often begins in a family where individuality was either ignored or subtly discouraged. Perhaps they were praised only for being a seamless part of a unit, but their unique opinions, passions, or quirks were treated as inconvenient disruptions. They learned that belonging was safer than being truly seen. Their own sense of self was never fully nurtured. It's like a muscle that was never exercised. So when they find a relationship, they latch onto it with everything they have. It's not just a partnership, it's a pre-packaged identity. It gives them a role to play, a script to follow, a ready-made answer to the question, "Who are you?" They adopt their partner's taste in music, their political views, their social circle, until the lines are so blurred they genuinely forget what they thought before. Leaving feels terrifying because it means being thrown back into a void, forced to finally build a self from the ground up, all while grieving the loss of the only identity they've felt comfortable in. The guilt-bearer's roots are often found in a childhood where they were parentified, made to be the responsible one long before their time. They were the little confidant for their parents' marital problems, the rock for a grieving family, the one who carried emotional burdens far too heavy for their small shoulders. They learned that their core function was to absorb others' pain and to prevent emotional distress at all costs. Their self-esteem became directly linked to their ability to keep everyone else happy and stable. So as an adult, the thought of willingly causing someone pain by leaving feels like a fundamental betrayal of their deepest purpose. It triggers a profound, almost primal sense of failure and badness, and often their partner, consciously or not, learns to pull these strings with phrases like, "I couldn't survive without you," which sound like declarations of love, but function as bars on the cage. They mistake this deep-seated, conditioned sense of obligation for love itself. This is the most insidious trick the mind plays on us. It relabels fear, obligation, and dependency as love. It's a powerful and convincing illusion. We tell ourselves we're staying out of loyalty, but it's really a fear of the unknown. We say it's compassion, but it's really a terror of being seen as the bad guy. We believe it's a deep connection, but it's often a shared trauma bond, a dependency where two people's broken pieces fit together in a way that prevents either of them from ever becoming whole. Think of it like this. A healthy relationship is like two strong individual trees growing side by side. Their roots may touch, and their branches may offer each other shade, but they do not choke each other out. The dynamics we're talking about are more like an ivy vine strangling a tree. It looks like an embrace, a beautiful, inseparable union, but it's a slow death. The vine cannot stand on its own, and the tree can no longer reach the sun. The feeling that keeps you chained to that door is not love. It is the echo of an old wound, a deep fear of abandonment, or a fragile sense of self-worth that has convinced you that you are not enough on your own. There's a powerful saying, you cannot set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. For the fixer, you're burning your own peace to manage their endless chaos. For the identity seeker, you're burning your individuality to maintain a shared facade. And for the guilt bearer, you're burning your own happiness to shield them from a pain they must, eventually, learn to face themselves. The path forward begins by radically shifting the question. Stop asking, "Why can't I leave?" and start asking, "What do I need to feel whole on my own?" The work isn't about finding the superhuman strength to turn the doorknob. It's about building a you on the other side of the door that you're not terrified to meet. It starts with small acts of self-reclamation. It could be listening to a song you loved before you met them, reconnecting with a friend you lost touch with. Spending just 10 minutes a day alone, asking yourself a simple question: what do I actually want right now? It's about learning to source your value, your identity, and your sense of goodness from within, not from your role in someone else's life. It is a slow and difficult process of untangling, of finding your own roots after years of being intertwined. But it is the only path to a love that liberates instead of incarcerates. So, I invite you to sit with this for a moment, looking at these patterns, these invisible chains forged in the past that hold us in the present. Which one are you? If this resonated with you, and you want to continue exploring the hidden patterns that shape our lives, I'd really appreciate it if you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell. It helps us create more content just like this, and you won't miss what's coming next.